What is at stake in this election and in the ballot referendum?
Well, abortion and the right to be a full American citizen with agency over your body is on this ballot.
They're concerned with how to get their kids back on track after they were kept out of school. And if you look at our crime rates in the past couple of years, it's just continued to rise, and why our businesses are being crushed by big government.
That was Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her Republican challenger, Tudor Dixon, speaking to my pal, Yamiche Alcindor, disagreeing about the importance of reproductive rights to voters. Dixon, who is backed by Trump, is anti-choice and has said that rape victims find healing through having the baby of their rapist. Joining me now, MSNBC political analyst and former Senator Claire McCaskill, and Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News Washington correspondent and moderator of Washington Week on PBS. I'm going to start with you. This is great work by you, Yamiche. Tudor Dixon is pretty unapologetically, completely anti-abortion. Full stop. But she does seem like she's running kind of a 1990s campaign. It's all crime and big government. Are you detecting on the ground in Michigan that there is a crime big government voter, that there are more crime big government voters that just when you're out there talking to folk in the world, or more voters who say women's reproductive rights and really our full citizenship is on the ballot?
My sense being on the ground is that women are extremely upset about the Roe decision, and that's women that are Republican or Democrat. Tudor Dixon, while she is on record as saying that she supports banning abortion with no exceptions for rapes and incest, she doesn't really want to talk about that too much, right? She said it, and she's clearly on the record, but when I was interviewing her, I asked her over and over again, and she wouldn't actually sort of own up to it on camera. And I think that the reason that that's happening is because she senses that that's not really a popular position. And you played some sound of Jessica Leach, who I think is the kind of voter that Democrats hope turn out in big numbers. She was a longtime Republican. She considered herself an opponent of abortion rights up until the moment that those abortion rights were taken away. She told me she couldn't stop crying for weeks after Roe was overturned. And she told me she once went to an abortion clinic when she was pregnant at 19. She decided to keep her son. But she said, I know what motherhood is. I know the 24-hour job. I know the physicality of having a child. And I cannot, in good conscience, have to coerce women into having babies. So Jessica Leach is, to me, an example of what Michigan women all over the state are feeling. Of course, both sides are mobilizing, right? There's the referendum. There's now this hotly contested governor's race. So people are definitely trying to mobilize on their sides. But my sense is that this is definitely a top issue for voters.
And Claire, to me, the giveaway is what Lindsey Graham is doing. Because the thing is, it's clear that Republicans have gotten the memo, that even the media hasn't really quite gotten yet, that this is a mobilizing issue, a foundational issue for women. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about, I know people who are evangelical Christians, who are anti-abortion, who are angry, 38 hot angry about this decision in Dobbs because they don't like the idea of women being dictated to and forced to give birth by the state, rape victims, everything else. Lindsey Graham is trying to just turn out the other side. He has 45 co-sponsors for this legislation. 45. His bill would have rape exceptions only for minors if the doctor gets documentation from law enforcement reporting a rape. It would have criminal penalties, 3 to 5 years in prison for helping anyone to get an abortion. That was his that was his previous bill. So we don't know if this bill is going to have those same things in it. That bill that he had a 20-week ban. Now he's rolled it back to 15 weeks. What do you make of this as just a political move?
Lindsey. I think what Lindsey thought he was doing was somehow shifting the debate over trying to make Democrats look extreme. But here's what's in this bill, Joy. First of all, he doesn't have anywhere near 45 co-sponsors for this bill.
Sorry, yes, that was the old bill, so that's my bad. Sorry about that. His old bill.
Republicans in the caucus are very upset with him. They want this topic to go away. They do not want it to be elevated. So what does he do? He not only introduces a bill, he puts in the bill that everything these states have done, like my state, making doctors have to choose between prison and the health of their patient, making children who have been victimized by an uncle or somebody's boyfriend and been raped, that they are forced to carry that child to term. All of that gets to stay. This bill lets all the really extreme stuff stay in place. It just forces more liberal states that still respect women's rights to do this federal standard. And he thought he could kind of confuse all this and make it all about late-term abortions. No, women are smarter than that. And I would just say, and I think it's really important for us to say this over and over again, We can talk about this being an important issue, but the only way we make it an important issue is if all of us find 5 people tomorrow that aren't registered to vote and get them registered.
And I mean, in states like even South Carolina, Yamiche, you had a state legislator, a woman who came out and said she's completely anti-abortion, but the idea that male legislators in her state would not even allow exceptions for rape and incest, she was disgusted by it. I mean, this is an issue that's now crossing outside of the bounds of Democratic voters.
Certainly. And to me, this is not about political lines based on my reporting on the ground. It's about women feeling like they like legislatures and lawmakers are being inhumane to women. That's the language that Jessica Leach, that voter who has changed her mind and her party affiliation, I should say, Joy. This isn't just someone saying, I don't like your stance on abortion. This is someone saying, I feel betrayed by my Republican Party, and as a result, I'm changing my registration to being a Democrat. That tells you that women are looking at these actions and saying, this is not the party that I signed up for. And even if I thought of myself as an opponent of abortion rights, I did not think that someone who was raped or someone who was a victim of incest, that they would be somehow forced to do this. She also told me, and this is, I think, really interesting, that she was talking about her birth control. This goes beyond sort of abortion rights. There are a lot of women in this country who are saying, wait a minute, if big government is in my doctor's office telling me about abortions, they might also tell me about birth control and contraception. And that is a scary thing for a lot of women.
And they're saying that, Claire, because Clarence Thomas said it. He said that we should reconsider the substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. That means birth control. That means same-sex relationships. He telegraphed what he wants done, and now Lindsey Graham is taking step 1. Do you think that Mitch McConnell would be able to stop a bill like this from coming to the floor if he wanted to stay majority leader if they got back the Senate? Wouldn't he have to put it on the floor?
I think it would be very hard for him with the anti-abortion forces in this country that are totally Republican. I think it would be very hard for him to not let there be a vote. The question remains, if Mitch McConnell takes over, how soon will he blow up the filibuster? And will he have enough Republicans to vote for something like this, assuming that Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins are still around? That all depends on the voters in November.
Absolutely. The Republicans have now said, Lindsey Graham has said, this is the election. The election is whether women are going to have equal rights and be full citizens. He said it, not me. Former Senator Claire McCaskill, Yamiche Alcindor, thank you both.